Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. We got this punt about the autopsy table. I spent a couple half dozen minutes cleaning up. That's about enough for me. It gets under your nails. Ugh. That's the ambivalence of humaning. There's always two sides to every story. Do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? You just give in sometimes. I set the stinking while I was sweeping. You know, I like poking tinter nets with a stick and seeing what kind of hornets fart out. So I would appreciate it if you do it for old Gil here. Do it for old Uncle Bumblefuck. If you could unsubscribe. Not for no reason. I'll ask you at some point to resubscribe, but we're going to do a teardown of this guy, and then we'll do I got cooking Bumble Forks Vijeo in the can, and then we're going to do a companion to this guy. And I'll ask you to resubscribe then. But I just want to see what happens. I haven't seen anyone on the YouTube making videos who asks you to unsubscribe. And it's not that there's not a contractual obligation. You know, when people unsubscribe, generally they treat it like a departures lounge at the airport. They have to announce their departure. Just go ahead and unsubscribe, please. Right now, please. And then we'll see what happens. Because why not? I dropped one, an ancillary benefit to sweeping up. You can find your screws. The glass fiber reinforced PA6, quite thick. New mold. Some hand polished areas. Looks like some cut marks up in here from the milling cutter of the mold itself. Oddly enough, the back end doesn't feel like the same material. It's certainly not as thick. Or maybe the wall thickness is as thick, but there's no gusseting. That could be. Now we're going to zoom in on the inwards. Not all that much to it. We have a die-cast motor housing. Front end, just a typical brushed motor. What was that? Oh, there's a seal in there. So that's the sealed shaft. There's also a seal here on the back side of the bearing. Keep the juice where it belongs. Again, with the neatly swept floor. Normally I'm working against myself. So this is brilliant. Way better than the Milwaukee because you can connect it to the power grid. Now it won't charge the battery. However, if the battery's dead, you can just plug it in, which I love if Milwaukee would have done that. And such a simple thing, really, because you can have an external power supply that does all your rectification, takes the angry pixies dancing to and fro from the wall, turns it into nice lazy DC. But that's all a separate module, no big deal. You don't have to build it right into here. What we have is DC power going into, this would be paralleled with the battery terminal, going into the brain box. Nice big skookum wires. They may be aluminum with copper cladding, being that they're so big. And then there's a little indicator light. The switch where the rubber meets the load. This is where the 200-pound gorilla goes hammering on it like a monkey at the zoo. Nice snappy snap action. And it is a 16 amp 36 volt rated DC switch. Feels good. And this is interesting. There's a little condom on there and it's glued actually, but it says not 1 and 0. Focus, you. Thank you. It says on and off. Isn't that nice? English. The lingua franca of our age. You ever get worried about the state of the world? Thank your lucky stars. Or your Saturnalia, depending on your sinister disposition. That, you know, you go to some foreign country, you say Cuba. They ain't bootlegging Russian movies. There's a reason. that English is the lingua franca of the age. And it might be a blessing in disguise to be a native English speaker. I say that as an outsider, of course, as a non-native English speaker. There's a brain box. We got some Celastic all over the wires, already breaking. You can see, well, there's a couple things that make you suspect it's a lower grade than, say, a Milwaukee or BOLTR. On the backside, there's some additional traces soldered up, built up for ostensibly ampacity, for being able to carry extra current. You see those guys there? That's kind of an odd thing. Those are nicely nipped off. The wires protruding through, nicely soldered and nipped off. We got a half bridge, two little MOSFETs there of the half bridge, and then the brain box itself, the microcontroller. I'm afraid my regular cameraman's on strike. We're having a little overshoot. Oh, fuck! The motor, Leshy brand, with some flux rings. Extra magnetism around the motor itself. Brushed DC. Big old D shaft on there. Integral bearing in the front. Not really all that much different than what you'd expect. This is interesting. It's not a die cast part and then machined. It's a sand cast. So they would have had to make a mold with that and then sand cast it. You can see the texturized of the sand and then machined on the shiny bits. I got the diaper rash cream everwards. It appears to be thermal transfer compound. It's either a diode or a temperature dependent diode or a thermocouple. It's likely a diode. I bet you if we look in there, it's probably just a light emitting diode. They have a reverse bias, a direct bias. The warmer it is, the lower their resistance. So you can get in LEDs, if you don't control the amperage going into them, you can have a thermal runaway and they get to such a low resistance that they just blow out. That's if you're trying to get light out of it. You can also do the reverse. If you want to measure the resistance, you can coincide that with the temperature. If I could get in there without springing a leak, that'd be just fantastic. Just come at her from the backside. Nothing there. Nothing there. Not a diode. Must be a thermocouple. Let's see. Well, there should be voltage. If it is a thermocouple, it uses the difference in potential of two dissimilar metals to put out some millivolts, which it is not doing. Some old form of devilry. So, yeah. Appears to be, hey meester, you want to buy my sister? Her name is Thymistor. Just a kiss. Oh, you. Call just a towel neck. That ain't right. Sure enough, hotter it gets, the lower the resistance. It's a thermistor. What you stink? Half a turn, fart, let the smoke out. I factory deleted the back end. It was biting me. It was spring loaded. It kept a bad juju. I got 5 extra horsepower out of the cork stuffer now. As I said, fart, let the smoke out. Yeah. Uh-oh. Pourtant, it seemed quite simple. Oh, there. I had to turn it. You got to be smarter than the pump. Holy Jesus. It's louder than the ladies' auxiliary on Chardonnay night. Fucking have another shard and a dart, Marge. Okay, it's not as heavy duty as the Milwaukee, but it claims to be 325 gallons per hour. The Milwaukee is 460, I believe. And I actually bought 3 of the Milwaukees because the brain box fries out of them. You recall, I took the brain box out of one of them that fried, just put the ka-chunk switch. Worked fine. Then, you know, Weinstein said, make something only as complicated as it needs to be, but no more so. Okay, get a listen to this freewheel speed. We'll put some lube in there. You gotta cut the tube. Overheated. Or overspeed. It knew. It somehow knew. Now the hazard fart for the $100 gives you a whole bunch of accoutrement. Look at this. Collapse-free suction hose. What with the skookum factin wire in betwixt the between. The Milwaukee 250 Kanaki stand Copex. Your mileage may vary, but they're $250 a pop. We'll put the inlet on the inlet, and they got the mil-spec 3-pin big bore power connector. And it locks in nice. Wow. Okay, let's give that a try now. I wonder if it charges. Oh, it's smart. Very clever. Mechanically, you cannot put the battery in at the same time as the... Yeah, that's pretty smart. That's pretty smart. Cheap and effective protection. Now the fun part, we got the little mist all set up to go from suck to blow. Got a pressure gauge here, a vacuum gauge actually, on the inlet side. We're going to see how long it takes for it to pump out 20 liters from the hazard fart bucket. Start. Also, there is a decibel meter in A or C. Weighted. Contact. As I ineffectually try to actuate my fingers. Okay, I refilled the bucket. Let's try this again. A lot quieter when it's actually pumping something. We're at -5 inches of mercury. Nice. Stops on its own. That's a good feature. It must monitor, it's got to be monitoring the amperage going to the motor. The amperage must drop down because that's far too quick for the temperature to rise. We're going to see how much suction we can actually draw. Oh, come on, man. It's dead already. Oh, it's telling us it's not happy. Of course it's not happy. Let's take the battery out. Oh, fuck me. You gotta be fucking shitting me. It appears the operation was a success. The patient didn't survive, however. Is dead. I don't know. I'll get her onto the healing bench. Everybody's favorite. Your balls deep in a greasy cesspool, rusty old crap. Start pumping and then quits. Your tool quits on you. Dead. Das LED indicator was blinking. And now, nothing. Battery's charged. will not, does not, nothing. It does have, I mean, it got wet. It is a pump. Did it get submerged? No. And something tells me you're probably, I haven't read the manual, but you're probably not supposed to take it apart before you run it. Seems in my haste, yeah, not seam, no seams about it. I fucked up. I crushed this little sense wire. However, I don't believe I broke it. And, well, the higher the resistance, the cooler it would think it is. I also, there's the blinking LED. Pinch that wire too. Just using the diagnostics internal to the tool, that is the LED indicator, we should see a little blip or something when we connect. Nothing. Let's see where we get battery voltage. Okay, we got 20 volts at the switch. That's battery voltage at the switch. Huh. Glitchy. Let's see if that indicator does anything. No, it does not. Is it a wonky connection at the... Tools are getting smarter all the time. Smarter isn't better. Smarter doesn't make it better. What would be better is if it told you via dust blinking lights what the conjunction and the malfunction was. Why didn't it spit out a code? It knows there's something wrong. Why wouldn't it say beep boop? You know, you just look 4 long flashes, you plug that right in. And that way, if you don't see it flashing, you know that the computer's blown up. If you're going to go smart, go stupid smart. Also, we could be privy to some very clever marketing as witnessed by the Rigol scopes, where they leaked, or someone leaked, the get out of jail code so you could jailbreak your oscilloscope into a much higher powered oscilloscope just by inputting this code. And that sold so many Rigol scopes, it was unbelievable. So what you do in one of these is you make it play a little game. Or, you know, you do the left, left, right, right, and it pulses, or it does this, or it does that, or it plays a song. It plays a song with the motor. Huh? Got the pump set up now with the 3 ampere hour battery. I forgot to hit record, unfortunately, but 2 minutes in to a fully charged 3 ampere hour battery. Just the easiest condition it's going to encounter, pumping into a bucket, same height, no head. Just to see, 1, how long it lasts, 2, if you'll be able to empty out your hot tub with it. Time, figure 25 minutes, give or take. 5 gallons a minute, 125 gallons. That's 500 liters you get out of a charge. 3 ampere hour battery, fully charged. You'll get 500 liters out of it. Best case scenario, of course. You could do more, but you need a 800-foot length of hose down a mountain embankment. Pull the water, siphon the water out. Yeah, you count on 125 gallons, roughly, if you're discharging a hot tub or something like that. We're going to approximate the pump curve here by restricting the inlet, watching the gauge, restricting the outlet, watching the gauge. That's pretty much it. Thing says it'll do 45 feet ahead at 0.433 pounds per square inch per foot of head. That'll give us almost 100 psi. Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, for the love of So reliably, that'll draw about 15 inches of mercury. We had 20 psi. What's going on? I would say I had a malfunction of multiplication versus division. I should have multiplied that by 4.33, not divided, which would give us 20 psi. So that's about right. Well, the only thing worse than not having the tool what for doing the job is having a tool that's not reliable. You don't know if it's so. I know you're tripping over your wallet trying to replace your Milwaukee one of these, but just hold off. I gotta run her a little bit before I can give you the all clear. Something, well, that might have been my fault.